So I released a set of way too many polls to determine what you guys thought were the best roller coasters in the world. I put the list together, and in this video I'm going to run through the list and compare it to my predicted list of the best coasters in the world. So there were a few coasters that made my top 25 but did not make yours, so let's run through them. Tutatis at Park Asterix, the new for 2023 Intamin multi-launch coaster, which has a similar layout to the upcoming Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and I think it looks even better than Pantheon because of how many more elements it has compared to that. Skyrush at Hershey Park, the controversial Intamin wing hypercoaster that is loved for its variety of extreme strong forces and hated for its uncomfortable restraints. X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain, the first ever fourth dimension coaster that features an extremely intense experience with the flipping cars and paved the way for other world-class coasters such as Dinoconda at China Dinosaurs Park, a ride that is arguably better than a certain other coaster that places very highly on the list due to having literally the exact same ride style and layout, just with longer trains and a smoother ride experience according to people who have ridden it. Now, to start out the list, we have T-Express at Everland at number 25. This was the final Intamin prefabricated wooden coaster, and it features a mix of the big camelbacks from El Toro and the twister section from Balder with many smaller ejector hills. While the pacing of the ride's second half is questionable, the strong airtime surely makes up for it, and I would probably put this a spot or two higher on the list. At number 24, we have Hyperion and Energylandia. People who have ridden this say that the majority of the elements on this ride are very good, with the massive first drop, camelback, and inversion, as well as the small elements at the end of the ride. But the few elements that come right in the middle seem to be a bit of a dead spot, with the speed hill and floater hill offering no force whatsoever. I would put this ride maybe 10 or 15 spots lower, not because it's a bad ride, but the rides I rank above it have even more of the qualities that I prefer. Number 23 is Expedition G-Force, the popular Intamin mega coaster at Holiday Park. Many compare this ride to Millennium Force at Cedar Point, saying that it has a similar feel, yet produces much stronger forces. This ride features a massive twisting first drop before a layout filled with strong airtime hills and overbank turns, with much more of a focus on the airtime hills than Millennium Force has. This is a really good placement on the list, and I might even put it a little higher. Number 22 is Terran at Phantasialand, the well-known Intamin Blitz coaster that features some of the best scenery on any coaster. The layout features two launches as the track weaves in and out of buildings and around rocks, but people who have ridden it say that the ride is not very intense apart from the second launch, and that makes sense given the elements that were chosen to be put on this ride. I would rank this ride like 40 or 50 spots lower because I prefer a more intense and thrilling ride, but I know other people think differently. Number 21 is Karnan at Hansa Park, the colossal Gerstlauer Infinity that has a few tricks up its sleeve. Apart from those tricks, the ride features an intense, low-to-the-ground layout with many moments of laterals and positive G-force, as well as a few moments of airtime. Some people say it's a little rough, but that can't take away too much from this amazing ride. I think that this ranking is pretty much perfect, very similar to where I place it. Number 20 is the new for 2021 Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland in Belgium. This ranking surprised me a lot, as I would place it at least 5 to 10 spots higher. The layout literally has everything you could want in a coaster. Positives, negatives, laterals, hang time, launches, all while spinning. And the forces are also extremely strong, with the first drop pulling close to negative 2 Gs. I think that this is a top tier coaster in the world and should be ranked much higher in my opinion. Number 19 is Untamed at Wallaby Holland. This small RMC features a masterful layout, with large elements to start with a double up, outer bank, and an ejector hill, eventually fading into small airtime hills that the train flies over in rapid succession. The ride also features 5 inversions, including the unique 270-degree double inverting stall. The 19th spot is pretty much exactly where I'd place it on my list, so congratulations on having a correct opinion. Number 18 was a bit of a surprise, Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. This ride is known for being perhaps the most intense coaster in the world, with its extremely strong and sustained positive G-forces and the intense transitions throughout the ride. I would place this ride just inside the top 10, but it could go much higher once I ride it. 17 is Twisted Timbers, also at King's Dominion. This small RMC packs in a layout filled with ejector airtime from the 3 hills at the beginning to the rapid-fire off-axis hills later in the layout. It also has the barrel roll drop and 2 inversions later in the layout. I don't think it should place this high on the list, as I have it about 10 spots lower. Number 16 is DC Rivals Hypercoaster at Warner Bros. Movie World in Australia. This ride features one of the best layouts on any coaster, packing in a ton of airtime as well as rapid transitions, positive G-forces, and it even has a backwards-facing car. It has one of the best starts to a coaster as well as one of the best finales, with that insane twisted drop, massive massive ejector hill in the non-inverting loop, finishing off with those sharp ejector hills at the end. This ride easily places in the top 10 on my list. Number 15 is Maverick at Cedar Point. Maverick offers perhaps the most well-rounded experience on a coaster, that is before a certain other coaster opened in June 2021, with extremely strong airtime, some of the most intense transitions on a coaster, great positive G-forces, and a powerful launch. I don't think it should necessarily place this high on the list, but I'm happy to see it up here because it is my second favorite coaster that I've ridden. Number 14 is Wildfire at Kilmartin. This massive RMC features probably the best setting on any coaster, and the layout that it has isn't too bad either. It is kicked off with a massive first drop, stall, and the outer banked hill before the rest of the ride is very low to the ground, jumping on and off the side of the hill. It does lose a little bit of speed towards the end, but the first part of the ride is so good that it should be at least in the top 25, just probably not as high of a placement as this. Number 13 is Conda at Walibi, Belgium. This much anticipated new for 2021 coaster is filled with tons of airtime, from that massive first drop and following elements to the rapid fire airtime finale. People who have ridden this say that the airtime was not as strong as they were expecting, but there is so much of it that this ride has to rank pretty highly. I would drop it a few more spots on this list, but not much. Number 12 is the new for 2022 Pantheon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This multi-launch coaster doesn't have a super long layout, but the multi-pass launch elevates the ride time a lot. It features a launch, inversion, and a couple off-axis hills before the main launch sequence, which throws in an ejector hill that you pass over 3 times while going back and forth on the launch track. After that is a massive first drop and outer bank before a stall and a wave turn to finish off the ride. I think that people are going to be surprised at how good this ride really is because it's lost a bit of hype since its announcement. Number 11 is Hakuge, the RMC iBox coaster at Nagashima Spaland. This ride doesn't feature any massive sustained standout elements like an outer bank or something like that, which is why the POV video doesn't seem that impressive, but the people who have ridden it say that the airtime is some of the most powerful you can find in RMC, and the pacing is outstanding. I think this ride could place a little higher, but this is a pretty good spot on the list. Number 10 is Air Force One, the new for 2022 RMC ground-up coaster going to Fun Spot Atlanta. This layout is just too good. It has 4 high-quality inversions and a layout that has 2 distinct halves. The first with the 2 massive inversions, outer bank, and the double up, all of which are going to be insane, before the 2 following inversions and the quad down following that. This ride could be top 5 in the world when it opens, and I wouldn't even be surprised. At the 9 spot, we have Lightning Rod at Dollywood. The layout isn't very long, but it packs in so much airtime and intensity that many enthusiasts rank this in their top 5 coasters. It features that iconic launched lift hill before the terrain-hugging layout. Lightning Rod used to run much faster in its opening year, but since then the launch track has been slowed down, and some parts have even been retracked due to how much the intense forces affected the wooden track. Number 8 is Ejinika at Fuji-Q Highland. This is known for being one of the most intense and disorienting coasters in the world. You take this first drop face down from 250 feet in the air, and the seemingly simple maneuvers are turned to intense inversions by the flipping wing seats. The ride features non-stop intensity until the brakes, and it is a little short, but it's by far made up for by how insane it is. It's pretty much the same ride as Dino Conda at China Dinosaurs Park, but that ride was not close to making this list, likely due to the fact that not enough people know about it. Number 7 is Voyage at Holiday World. This ride is the longest wooden coaster in the world that has 1 lift hill, because the only wooden coaster that is longer has 2 lift hills. This ride features 100 seconds of prime ride time, filled with airtime, laterals, and pure wooden coaster intensity. I think the Voyage should place a little bit lower on the list because the forces don't look too strong, and the ride doesn't have any real standout elements. Kinda like how Steel Vengeance haters describe Steel Vengeance after getting a slow morning ride with the trim zone. Number 6 is El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. This ride is known for featuring some of the best moments of pure sustained ejector airtime on that first drop, 2 hills after the drop, and the hill later in the ride known as the Rolling Thunder Hill. These extremely long trains haul through the layout, pulling strong positive and negative G-forces. It's a bucket list ride for roller coaster enthusiasts all around the world, and it's not hard to see why. Number 5 is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Set to open in 2022, this ride features a ton of amazing elements throughout its experience, starting with that first drop, outer bank turnaround, and the death roll, which I think looks like the best inversion in the world. The rest of the ride is filled with more airtime, amazing pacing, and even some moments of snappy lateral force. This ride will definitely deserve a spot in the top 10 in the world, that is if it ever opens. Number 4 is Fury 325 at Carowinds. This beloved Giga coaster has a speed-filled, low-to-the-ground layout with many twists and turns back and forth, and some airtime moments thrown in there with the treble clef turnaround and the hills at the end of the ride. And we can't forget the first drop, which looks like a better version of the drop on Orion at Kings Island, which is currently my favorite first drop. All around, this ride looks absolutely amazing, and it's not hard to see why it's considered among the best coasters in the world. Number 3 is Zadra at Energylandia. Zadra is a very similar coaster to Iron Gwazi, being an RMC Hyper Hybrid with amazing pacing throughout its powerful and unique elements. It features a massive zero-G stall right under the lift hill, and many great airtime moments following with the wave turn, ejector hill, double down, and the crazy twisted speed hill. Number 2 is VelociCoaster at Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. This coaster features a first half that feels somewhat reminiscent of Terran at Phantasialand, where the coaster weaves in and out of rockwork and theming. But then VelociCoaster features a fast second launch that shoots the train into the craziest section of the ride, with a massive drop, stall, sharp wave turn, intense outer banked hill, and finishes off with the iconic barrel roll and twisted airtime hill. Number 1 is, of course, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. It features the most airtime in the world, as well as one of the best coaster layouts, packing in about 25 amazing elements, all of which would be standout elements on 99% of other coasters. It's the most common number 1 ride among enthusiasts, and for good reason. Hope you enjoyed seeing the results of all the polls you voted in, and make sure to stay tuned for more videos here on Elite Coasters.